everybody. Welcome to 9 to 5 Nightmares. I'm Amy.
And I'm Micole.
And here we are going to be diving into what we found this week in misconduct issues. So, the first thing, since it's Halloween time and we're in the season of spooky and scary, we're going to talk about how not to get too spooky, too scary, or too weird when you're doing things online because it could result in challenges at work. So, Micole, tell me about this article that you just read on people getting fired for Halloween costumes.
Yeah, so I mean, it's something that's so easy to forget until every year at Halloween you go through Facebook and you see everybody's like Halloween costumes or even LinkedIn, and
Right,
you're like, oh
exactly.
my God, who would do this? Who would wear this? Like, who would, do cultural appropriation or blackface? Like, for some reason, people still are doing
Like
blackface or
Prince Harry
uh,
when he dressed up like a Nazi,
oh
right?
my God, I didn't even want to bring that up, but yeah, like
When you think
horrific.
about, that was horrible.
And he didn't even get fired because who was going to fire him at the time? But yeah, so it just, when you're putting your costumes together, think it over, maybe ask some friends, maybe, just do yourself and everyone else a service and think twice before you pick your costume out. Anything that's like sexy versions of things probably not appropriate for coworkers to see. Anything that's I like,
Oh, and
yeah,
let's
there's
talk
there's
about
there's so
political
many.
appropriateness. Like,
Oh yeah,
remember that we've talked about this before. People
right.
are looking at political appropriateness. So, like when the assassination attempts happened,
Oh,
people posted about that on social media and they got fired for it. Like, I mean, we've got
right,
examples of this
right,
happening. We talked about that before. And this is one of those Halloweens where the chances of people doing something that might be politically funny to you may not
right,
be politically funny to your employer or to others. And there's
right.
high sensitivity right now. Don't make that mistake and become one of the people who got fired for making fun of an assassination attempt in a very inappropriate way.
Yeah, 100%. And also remember too, it's not even just about online because so many companies have in like Halloween, like where you dress up, wear a costume to work events or to even work. So I plan to wear a costume at work, but it's not going to be something that anybody would get fired over. So just, be smart, be safe, and be respectful. You know,
And I'm
that's
kind
my
of looking
words of
forward
wisdom.
to our episode after Halloween.
Yes,
Because
and for
we
those
know
of you
people
that
are
don't
going
know,
to do it anyway.
of course, yes, of course. And for those of you that don't know, Amy is my boss, so she would hold me accountable to this.
But I would also warn you in advance.
That's very true.
So why don't we get into some of the other things that are on? Because we've got some big news items where misconduct cost companies lots of money. And the big one is Wynn Resorts and Steve Wynn. So for those of you that may not remember, years ago, Steve Wynn was accused of sexual harassment. A lot of this was around the time of the Me Too movement and everything.
Yeah,
And
and just to
now,
interrupt you real quick, he was
yeah,
the CEO of Wynn Resorts in Las Vegas. So he was
yeah,
like, yeah, like a huge, huge company, a
it
big
has his name
figurehead
for
of
that
it. It has
reason.
his right, exactly.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
So, and for those of you who may not know, like Wynn Resorts is one of the largest global, like, hotel casinos that are out there. So,
Yeah.
very deep pockets. So, it's just finally come down to he stepped down as CEO a couple of years ago, and now the lawsuits are all coming out. And what were the amounts that happened with this, Nicole?
Yeah, I mean, there was more than one class action lawsuit. There were a lot of different women that accused him of sexual harassment, sexual assault. And the most recent lawsuit that they settled was for $70 million. Um, and this lawsuit was a class action lawsuit filed by the shareholders on the company's because he just basically like created a lot of issues for the company by one committing the assault and then lying about them, hindering investigations for years and years. So yeah, it's a really big,
So
it's
the
really costly.
shareholders were suing him for losses.
Yeah,
Wow. Wow.
yeah. And he's actually barred from holding any position in a public company in Nevada because of how impactful and detrimental and horrible the misconduct was that he committed over a long period of time too.
So this is really interesting because not only are you having to pay out the victims, but now shareholders are considered victims when you're doing sexual misconduct and you hurt a brand that
They're
they can come
pissed.
and ask for compensation. Yeah, I mean,
But
and
who wouldn't
rightly
be?
so. I
Right.
totally agree. Totally agree. So that's fascinating, really fascinating. And I think the other thing that we've been following, and this is so appropriate too. We're in political season,
Right.
is how much taxpayers had to spend on misconduct for the state of New York and what happened with Cuomo. So let's
Yeah.
go into those details. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, well, it's interesting because they're still paying. So they have to pay his attorney's fees and the investigative attorney's fees. And it's about $25 million for taxpayers paying for the investigations and litigation around him and the many women
But
that
that's just
accused
the
him of,
defense. That's just the
yeah,
defense. And for those of you who
well,
don't
the
know,
defense and the prosecution, because that's the
right,
investigation side of things.
right.
Right.
So for those of you who don't know, when you are a public figure and you have a lawsuit that has to do with something that you did during being a public figure, um,
Yeah.
the state is required to cover that for you. So even though,
Yeah, that's a New York law and that
yeah,
I'm pretty sure
that's
he actually signed at one point during his tenure.
oh, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. And
Yeah.
it's pretty common. Like this is a pretty common practice because
Yeah.
public figures are sued so much that
Right.
if you had to cover the cost of all of the lawsuits, it would really set a bar for people who wouldn't be able to be a public figure because it would just cost them so much money and it could be used as a tool for political retribution too. So there is some
Right.
piece of this, but I think what's interesting is where does the line in terms of being a public figure and a private person and your behaviors, where does that, because
Yeah.
the fact that they had to cover this, now this isn't even covering the lawsuits. So $25 million for his legal fees and for the investigation fees before they have even
Litigation.
settled any of the lawsuits because it's highly likely that the state of New York is being sued because they didn't do their part to protect the other workers that may have been impacted.
Right. And it makes sense too because it's like they were also state employees.
Right.
So, yeah. So,
This is a big
it
one.
will it's a big one. We will stay on top of it and keep you apprised as this story unfolds.
And then lastly, what we have is we go into like our pharma files on what's going on. What are the things that we're seeing? This is where we kind of get a little bit into the more outrageous things that are going on that we're finding. So this time we've got a whole entire incident that involved an ambulance and a
It
wild hit and run. Go ahead, Micole. Like, let's give
it
us the
feels like it
details.
should be on It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just like the level like you like an EMT or somebody applying to be an EMT that had already been an EMT, he or she got drunk one night, stole an emergency vehicle, an ambulance, hit someone and drove away, and this showed up on his or her FAMA report. um
Yeah, yeah.
it feels like an episode of like on a chaotic TV show. Like it's just
It
like
doesn't even feel
I
real.
no, like there's no words for like the level of idiocracy that takes to just complete that whole series of events and then to apply for an EMT position again.
And not think that anybody's going to find out that not only were you
Right.
drunk driving and hit somebody and ran, but you did it in an ambulance.
Right. And like I can't imagine like that poor victim like getting hit by an emergency vehicle, needing the emergency services, and then not like the watching it run away. Like Just
There's no words for this. There's absolutely no words. So, on this note, right, we want everyone to have a wonderful Halloween.
yes,
We're looking forward to not hearing any of you getting fired for your costumes.
yes, we are.
And we will see everybody again on the next 9 to 5 Nightmares. Thanks so much, Micole.
Enjoy your spooky season.
Bye.
Bye.